right. Beautiful. Thank you for being with us, visiting. Those of you who are visitors, my name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of the spiritual leadership. We call this place the Global Center because it's global. It's actually fully universal, but that gets a little too weird for us to call ourselves that. The intergalactic, multidimensional center. So, the global, that'll work. Um, for is a center, and I like that term, center. It's not a church. It's not a temple per se, a traditional term. It's a center, and to me, a center means it's a place, a space, like our center, where we connect with God within our own center. So this is a center that symbolizes our center. So there's all kinds of beauty to the title, the wording, and it's one for what? It's a center of specific healing art. It's a center of conversation. It's a center for Christ consciousness, because that's who we really are, what we really are. And I usually ask at the beginning of a service, what would you like me to talk about today? And I'm always happy to make the notes and then just channel accordingly. Today, which I'm still happy to do, but today I want to focus a little bit on a theme, because this afternoon we have a workshop on abundance, prosperity and consciousness. So I want to share a little bit about that today, for the reason, not as a promo for it. I mean, it's partly that, but I want to do a talk on consciousness and prosperity and abundance here, so that people that can't, time-wise or affordability or whatever reason, can't attend the workshop, that you get something complete, you see? So I want to share something on that topic so that you can walk away going, cool, even though I couldn't do the workshop, I at least got something on that topic. And some people think it might be strange during such odd times in the world to do a talk about prosperity and abundance. Well, what else was I going to do? Lack and fear? I mean, sorry, there's a lot of channels or people you can go to that would take you there. That's just not my thing. And prosperity and abundance, and what's that about? This is like if you really tune in and read correct sources from biblical to current channels, God created us in God's image. All that God is, we're technically capable of being. So this idea that we have bills we can't pay, if that doesn't exist in God, how did it exist in us? Well, maybe we weren't made in God's image. Oh, well, then you have a flawed God who said, I made you in my image. Maybe God was right when it said that, and we should just get on board. That we're allowed to have an abundance of everything. Health, wealth, wisdom, peace, joy. It's so righteous for us to step into that. But the world, challenges, and the world's always going to have its stuff. Jesus once said, I'm paraphrasing, but the world will always have its challenges. Oh, well, I thought we could make the world a perfect place. That's a song. That's not the reality. You can sing the world's a perfect place, or, make up some really beautiful Coca-Cola commercial kind of, in the old days, remember that kind of a tune? It's great to say, I would love, but it isn't the world we created that can be perfect. People believe they separated from God, so the world they can create will reflect separation from God. And if God is love, peace, joy, and abundance, you're going to have a world that's the opposite. The only way we can get the world we say we want, peace, love, joy, abundance, is to plug into the source of those things. We can't contrive it on our own, as much as everybody keeps trying. Just one more election. I think this one will get it for sure. Really? Look at history. Just one more something. One more sale, one more purchase, one more, election, or one more relationship. It's not working. Our way of doing things is not working. So, we've got to plug into the real source of everything that is good, love, peace, and that's God. And there's a couple of interesting examples. There's this life coach or spiritual teacher that was telling me recently. He was talking at his area, a Unity church in his area. And he was telling them Like, hey guys, we're collapsing. We're going bankrupt. And he said, and by the way, do you guys remember? Michael was here. He spoke here and he predicted it. I'm not a good guy to have come into town, right? It's like, oh, great. What's he going to say when he comes in our area? Well, this is how it was. And I told him this is going to collapse because I could see it happening. But he says, remember, this is what he predicted. But he said, the thing is, why are we collapsing and going bankrupt? And their minister at one time was saying, well, that's because people don't want to learn anymore. What a strange thing for a spiritual leader to say, but people don't want this anymore. And use that as an excuse to collapse. And this guy said, no. While we were collapsing, any reason and excuse we give, unity of Sedona the unity over in Sedona is becoming the global center. And they're getting a new building with more room for more people. This is all based on our own ideas. In other words, we create our reality. To one center, people don't want this anymore, and they created collapsing. To another center, this is all that matters. Because it is. It is all that matters. Really. That proverbial story of a guy laying in his deathbed. Nobody ever in their deathbed said, I should have worked more. That's typically not what people think. And that's same as this world. At the end of the day, when you reach that moment of passing into the light, generally that's not on your mind. All the other things are not the priority. It's where are you with God? I don't care, you Catholic, Muslim, any religion, any thought system, philosophy. When you're passing, you do sort of a thing you should have done in your 12-step group, a self-inventory. You're sitting on your deathbed going, uh-oh. How was I doing? But you don't have to wait till death to do it. Every day to be able to start and say, what are my priorities? Making money. That might not be the best priority. How about God? Connection, love, inspiration. Making these what seem like lofty, unrealistic statements as our ideal. The world doesn't support that. A quick example. My daughter bought a house semi-recently, but she bought a house. This is an interesting story because she only had enough to offer $10,000 less than they wanted. So she told the realtor, well, here's our offer. Okay, yeah, but they're countering, they want this. That's all I've got, and I'll just trust God. I'll just trust God. If they say no, it's no, and I'll have to look for another place. Okay, done. She ends up with the house and for the $10,000 less. Now, our heads could immediately, and you'd be right to assume, well, that was a miracle because she stuck to her faith, right? 10,000 less, that was a great manifestation lesson, right? She got the house and all that, but they didn't say yes. The realtor paid the 10,000 difference. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, what was the miracle? Well, she got it for less. See, that's a lot of people are into prosperity. They'll say, yes, you got it for less, and that's prosperity. Guys, her faith in God inspired the realtor who said, you know what? I've never seen someone with that kind of faith and humility. I'm going to pay it. See, it's not always getting the way you want things to be that is the miracle. Impressing people with your presence. They see something unique, something beautiful. And I think that's just like, wow, what a gorgeous story. And I just found out about this recently, and she said, yeah, did you know? I'm like, wow, what a cool thing. So we think prosperity is a thing. It's a consciousness. And let me explain this. In your upper three chakras, those are the I am centers. That's the God I am. The Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Those are your upper three chakras. The Trinity of God is in you. The Trinity of God, or the presence of God, is always abundant. Always. It's God. It doesn't have bills. This doesn't have bills. This doesn't have debt. This doesn't have lack. This doesn't have fear. But the human me, lower three chakras, has almost nothing but that. So what happened? I am. Oh my God. I am. Oh my God. Like, What happened? There's this and then there's this. The spirit is willing, but the flesh, oh. Right? So where did something go wrong? There's one chakra that I didn't mention. Where is it? The heart, which is where you have your belief systems. I'm not sure. Oh, crap. That's what happens. That's the dissension. That is the what we call the creation process. I am, and then bam. Can't pay a bill. It isn't in God that you can't pay a bill. Fine, then it's just my fate. My karma, I guess it's just, and we give up. You have to change your belief systems. And it all comes back to one primary belief. I either am as God created me, holy and innocent, powerful, or I'm not. And we ask that question inside of ourselves every second of every day. Not consciously, but it's running all the time. Why? Because God is in every moment. So here's what happens. In every second, there's a voice of God saying, I am. And you're supposed to respond. Carl Jung said, you have to ask yourself who you are. And if you don't know the answer, the world will tell you the answer. Oh, you're kidding me. That's what your parents were doing. That's what your teachers that weren't kind sometimes were doing. They were reflecting. If you don't know, we'll tell you. Well, who's controlling them? I don't know. Did they walk up to you and say, beloved, namaste? The tax man? Listen, I didn't call you here to be audited. It was just to be in your presence. I'm so honored. Is that what you hear from the world? No, because they're all hijacked by the ego who wants everybody to be upset all the time. Peace, be still, and know the I am presence of God. Stormy waters and, Jesus is sleeping. Lightning, thunder. This is so nice. The apostles are anxiety disorders, panic attacks, rushing around. At some point they're like, do we wake him? They accidentally splash a little water on him. It wasn't me, it was the waves. So Jesus just saying, things are a little rough. Look at the seas. Jesus is like, oh, you guys, so silly. And then looks at the water and says, knock it off. So did Jesus make the waters be still? You could say so. It's what a miracle typically is defined to be like. Jesus commanded. Jesus doesn't see himself as separate from the waves, superior to the waves and telling them what to do. He simply said, I want you and I command that you reflect me in my I am instead of them in their I am not. God. Just made a higher choice. And that's what we can do in health, wealth, wisdom. But the world, I know, doesn't support this notion. I understand that. So it seems challenging for us to try to live this every day when so many voices say the opposite. You can start your day with the most beautiful meditation and, chill, just beautiful, peaceful experience, tranquility, and then stuff. Our job is not to be without the stuff, believe it or not. Our job is to learn what to do when the stuff shows up. But I want a life when there is no stuff. Great. One day when this is all over, it won't be the way you think. It won't be in the third dimensional world that's going to happen. The third dimensional world was created out of rebellion, out of hurt, fear, hate, whatever. It won't be in the third dimension. Well, I don't like that idea, Michael. And I mean, why can't we just stop? I'm not going to answer your questions, Spirit says, as to why you can't have it your way. I'm not going to get your ego to be satisfied, because your ego will never be satisfied, and I'll stay in a loop with you, like conversations that go nowhere. So God's saying, you come to me, because the me that I'm talking about is the real you. If you want the world of peace, love, joy, and abundance, don't try to fix the broken world, because then your ego is tricking you into thinking you can do this. You have to start with, if this is not working, I am powerless over this addiction to miscreate the world. Humility. Once the humility shows up, space is created for the all to come in. Then we have the power to say, oh my goodness, how silly this is. This has no power over me. And it doesn't. I mean, in the I am presence of God. But it does seem like it. So sometimes we can say, gosh, I really got upset today, but that's because something seemed like it was a triggering and so on. Triggering of what? It's always stuff rooted in the past. Where's the I am now of God? So we have all kinds of ways that we mess this up, and we try to obsess on creating more prosperity or more health. Obsessing on it will actually make you not have health and wealth. But also caving in and saying, I guess I'll never have it, will also not give it to you. So if you obsess on health and wealth, you're going to get healthier. You're trim. You lost 5 pounds, but you're not at peace. You're making yourself healthier, which is not working. It just looks like it. Right? It's, there's still something inside that's not at peace. I don't like myself. But if I can make sure I have my tan and lose 10 pounds, I'm actually looking great. You're looking great because the eyes lie. It's a temporary scene. How are you in here? At peace with yourself no matter how you look? That's what you're looking for. Yet not the opposite, negligent. Oh, I'm so in touch with God. I don't do anything, about prosperity, because we live in these old programs that money either doesn't grow on trees or money's evil. We were programmed with this stuff. The material world, even mystics made the mistake of thinking the material world is like sort of an evil. Don't succumb to it. So if you're in the Far East, you're going to lay on a bed of nails to prove that this body doesn't mean anything. Okay? If you know that, why are you laying on a bed of nails? Right? Think about this. What about the law of attraction people? Man, I did it. I learned the law of attraction, and I created a car within 5 days. Isn't that great? I don't know. I don't know if it's great. Did you co-create the car with God? No. I, me, mine. You have these positive thinking teachers, and there's amazing statements. All you have to do is breathe differently. All you have to do is tap on all you have to do, you have the power. You can do it. But you are the one who thinks you're separate from God. So all we're doing is firing up some ego-based power in my own human will. What about God? There's these people, they do these talks for an hour about you, all day seminars, never mentioning what God can do, but what you can do. But I am God. Then why are you ashamed to say the word? And besides, if you love the law of attraction, why don't you use it to attract God? Use your law of attraction exercises instead of new car. How about God? And bring God in, because once you have that, you'll be able to do anything. Raise the dead. I just want a Volvo. I don't want to raise the dead. It's too weird, Then don't be a hypocrite. You say you want, but you don't really. It's the law of lust, the law of attraction. The law of attraction is a microcosm of a bigger law that I am as God created me, and I can have no lack. When I sit and use the law of attraction, which is a small version of the greater law, so it's good because some people understand it. It's a simpler way to understand the bigger law, so I think it's valuable in that sense. But really, when you're using the law of consciousness to attract something, it's kind of like saying, I lust for that thing. And if I lust for something enough, I can get it. You are it. When I know that I am it, how can anything be over there and not here upon my command? At any time, it's just the consciousness can be there. And we realize I don't need love. I am love. I don't need companionship. I am the companion. You know what I'm saying? We just own it all here. Doesn't mean you can't have fun. Doesn't mean you can't engage in the world and do those things. But the mindset is different. There's a there's a peace that surpasses understanding that's sort of underneath, like almost like the rhythm section of a song, keeping the beat going, keeping everything kind of alive. So I choose to know the presence of God. I choose to know the presence of love. And what's cool is I am made in God's image. So it's not like I have to put the effort to get, to attract. I am. And when we understand that, it's a total game changer. So this idea of, and I mean no disrespect for people that are using that, because it's like even modern versions of like new science, neurology, and so on are starting to support this idea. You know, that you have this power in your mind and it's supernatural. But really, and these speakers that talk about it, they're very convincing, which is beautiful. But your lower three chakras are the physical, emotional, and intellectual chakras. The upper three, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lower three, physical, emotional, intellectual. The heart's in the middle. This is the imaginative, intuitive soul. So when people say, guess what? There's a new technology. Bloody hell, they love that word. There's a new technology. The use of the mind can do. You know what? You're just an Atlantean. Knock it off, okay? The Atlanteans and the Nazis developed technology. It didn't go well. They don't understand that the frequency of the soul is not of the intellect. So when you come up with new technologies, if you just stand on one foot and roll your eyes counterclockwise and say, you know, some special mantra, your resentments of the past will disappear immediately. Really? Well, let me start one now because you're annoying me. La, 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 you know. And so when they come up with new science to say, it's all neurology. It's just neurology. You tap this, you newfangled contraptions and techniques and computerized whatevers. There's nothing wrong with it per se, as long as we know what it is. See, so we have chakras. The physical, emotional is synonymous with your subconscious mind, by the way. So your physical, your emotional, subconscious, and then your intellectual, cognitive self. So when I come up with a new technique using neurosciences and do this with you, prove to you, you muscle test to prove that this thing worked, all we're proving is that the intellectual chakra came up with a higher technology than a lower chakra below it. But this is not the higher. The highest is here, God, and my soul is still waiting to be heard. Would you like me to help you be able to create a different life? No, we got it figured out. We have a technology down here. And when people say it can rewire the subconscious mind instantly, that's okay. But that means you're only telling me you're affecting my emotional chakra. I've got 7. That's only the second on the list. Don't I want to go any higher than that? Yes, I do. Not only do I want to, I insist on it. And not everybody's going to want to hear this because it's kind of mind-blowing. And besides, mankind loves the intellect because it's still part of the trinity of the ego. My intellect, like Einstein said, that is not the highest faculty. Imagination is, which is your soul chakra. So then why don't we just start developing technologies there? Because it doesn't work the way the intellect works. The intellect you can still make happen the way you want to make it happen. You can prove it, whether it's muscle tested or use computer technology to prove that, wow, your aura just increased. Whoa, then that must be real. Why not go to God? Why not open your altar here and invite God in? Because technically, instead of I'm using techniques of the mind, which is only the third chakra, and it's part of the ego systems. So instead of using that to make myself more prosperous, why not try this? Why not say God is abundance? If I invite the abundant presence of God into my heart has a word, it's called prosperity. Abundance translates as prosperity. Prosperity invited into my human self becomes cash or whatever. God can translate to Jesus saying fish and pull out a fish and inside there'll be a gold coin, or materializing it in his hand. It doesn't matter. This is the easy part. Why it's hard to manifest is only because we keep going to the human self to do it. You're trying to get the human self to fix the human self. But again, the brilliance of Einstein, you can't fix problems with the same mind that created it. So if I believe I'm separate from God, that's going to translate into everything I'm trying to do. And that's going to be lack and limitation of something. And I want to make this clear. When we hear that lacking prosperity is a sign of, the mind being off somewhere, our beliefs being off, that doesn't mean it's good to shame yourself over it, because there are unhealthy people that are prosperous financially. That doesn't mean they know abundance of God. They just got the cash. Well, how did they get that? I meditate every day. That person doesn't even believe in God, and they got cash. Guys, don't get yourself into that, because it's going to look like it's an unfair law, the law of abundance. It'll look unfair. The person somehow manifested that in some lifetime. It's something that was right for them this lifetime. Trust me, they'll either give it or they'll lose it in the next lifetime. People get into their heads and think, I got to have this figured out. And if that person doesn't pray, why are they more prosperous than me? Here's a good example. Nikola Tesla, brilliant, plugged in. I'm not saying he understood holiness. He was a mind that was going, there's so much light coming to me. I don't even know what all this is. So he's trying to wrap his mind around that. But still, something magical was happening in the guy. He invented most everything that we use today, technologies today, 100 years later. For all intents and purposes, he should have been the wealthiest man on the planet. Because seriously, his inventions, from telephone to everything else, it was constantly sabotaged and stolen from him. So he died broke. But most people don't know this. He reincarnated as a guy who invented the Tesla. And he became the wealthiest man on the planet. You get it? Yeah. It'll come around. Yes, he died poor and he came back and had the last laugh. How does anybody figure that out? Tesla, I'm back. You know what I mean? And I want my money. You people owe me. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And the same is for you. You're faithful in your relationship, and yet you might die alone. Guys, at peace. It'll all come around. Your just dues, it comes around. It doesn't always come around the way we think we would like it to be. And in those circumstances, do what you can to keep finding peace. I don't care if it's tapping on the acupuncture points in EFT to help neutralize some of that angst about what's not going your way. Using the techniques is fine. You could say, in a way, they're positive versions of addictions. But tapping or, rolling your eyes a certain way or doing certain special techniques of wording and I am prosperous affirmations, all of them are for people that have forgotten who they are. They're techniques to get them back. But the techniques won't get you back. They're just the bridge to get you in that direction, to support you while you're still here. The only thing that can really get you back is your acceptance of who you really are. Try muscle testing that. Who you really are, because the ego's constantly trying to sabotage. This is real heavy, this whole thing about remembering who you are, because you're kind of anxious, so you're going, oh my God, I suffer from anxiety. I should really listen to this who I am thing, but it's a little much. You know what's easier? A drink. Now I don't feel so anxious. That worked. But also tapping on the points, which is good to do. It's a happy dream instead of a nightmare, but it's still a dream. It's a positive addiction. And I don't mean the negative interpretation of addiction. What I mean is the real term, which is you believe something's wrong with you. You're reaching for something to help. Well, if you reach for a drink, you're not reaching something to help. You're reaching something that will actually cause harm. If you're doing tapping on points, it actually helps. Does it cure you from believing you're separate? No, but it helps. That's what I mean by a positive version of an addiction. The real understanding of cure of addiction is to realize you're not separate. You're divine. But I can't get anybody else to go along with that. It's a struggle. Don't try to get them to get along and go along with that. Just believe it yourself. Your presence, you see, makes all the difference in the world. Can I just be that presence? Not tell people, not convince people, just can I be that presence? And yes, I can. How can I do that today? Right? What can I do to kind of facilitate that today? Well, if God were here now, what would God be doing in the presence of this person, that group, this situation? How can I bring the presence? Calm, peace, quiet, and let righteous answers come through instead of anxious ones. So someone like Tesla, he had ideas coming to him. Again, human being, and in that time, it was a lot for him to handle. I mean, a lot. But imagine what his mind is really saying. On one level, invention is one thing, but the deeper message, he was saying, I can create free energy. I can tell you how to harness free energy. People won't have to pay electric bills. But others were saying, we have to kill this guy because he's taking away our ability to charge people for electricity. And he's like, how could you charge for electricity? It's free. You just put this antenna out in your yard. It'll pull the electricity out of the atmosphere that can never run out, and it'll bring it into your home, and everybody has free energy. Oh, no, can't have that. But behind the inventions, there's a brilliance that's channeling the Spirit of God that says everything's free. So that's an idea of prosperity to the world. And yet the world that thinks it wants to be more abundant shoots that down because you think the world wants abundance in the world. There's only a few that think they should have it. There's no reason anybody should go without a meal. There's plenty, but not just substances, consciousness. If we love and care for people enough, it's like Mother Teresa and others visiting India said, America is such an evolved technological civilization. But what disturbed me was in America, if there's a group of, say, children, and you hand one of them a piece of fruit, they look at the others and they start eating the fruit. She said in India, they immediately look at how to divide it with the others sitting there in the room with them. See, that's prosperity consciousness. This world is not going to understand that because this world goes on linear factual statements, such as, if I have $1 and I give it to you, factually, I no longer have it. Which sounds like a law of abundance, because if I can take $2 from you, I'm, very industrious. Good job. You have too. Look, and you have more than them. Not only do you have more than them. Oh, wow. I got to figure out how to double this so that I'm doubly more than them, doubly better than them. That's that mindset. Spirit says, no, it doesn't work that way. Since things out here are just illusions, there's another way you do this. The more you give, the more you receive. Oh, you're giving me that religious lecture about, good karma or do unto others, fine. Begrudgingly you give and you wonder why it doesn't pan out because you're not getting the consciousness. You're just shaming yourself into giving $1 to your church or whatever it happens to be, someone in the grocery line. This needs to be not I have to give to others. I get to. These are my brothers and sisters. How can I lift them today? This woman who's all shaming herself in the grocery line, let me give. You know me, I never tell you to give more than you can afford, energetically, financially, emotionally. So don't think I'm talking about being a rescuer. I'm talking about recognizing that we can afford to give a lot more than we think we can afford to give. It's called sharing instead of giving and taking. I call it sharing. What are you sharing? An abundance of what I have. I can afford. I can afford to smile. No, but I really can't because my partner left me and now I have it scheduled. For 16 and a half years, I'm going to be miserable. No smiles. I can't afford it. So that when I walk into a party, they say, how are you doing? Well, how do you think? They left me. You know, you don't want to leak out a smile and look like you're okay because the ego's got your mind trapped. Instead, wow, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, free at last. Wow, how am I doing? How do you think? Oh my God, I got my own place. Yeah, but you had a house with them. Now you're just living like in an apartment or a condo, and it's mine. It's fun. You know, it's fun. I mean, my place, I got to decorate it any way I wanted. I've had friends that told me they were in partnerships that, I mean, simple things like this one gal, she would say, you know, when we would go out, she would say, I love guacamole. And she'd say, we'd go out, and even if we had Mexican food, you're not ordering a side of guacamole. It costs too much, even though you had money. So this is just a friend. So if we were out and had some munchies, a group of us, I would say, be sure to order guacamole. And it was like a trigger. Really? Am I allowed to? Yes, order two. Order two. And while you're eating the guacamole, free at last. Free at last. My God, free. I can do what I want. Now, you don't shame and hate the ex, although they had their issues. This is your freedom, not their cutting away finally. This is not just you breaking the chains with them. This is your freedom. Focus on the freedom. Go to your new life. And the folks in this world so typically don't get that. The most they get is use your mind power. And I'm saying use your soul power. And let your soul power be charged by God. Then we can do anything. And I'm not dissing the mind power because that's powerful. It shows a lot of wonderful things. I mean, it proves it's so evident. Using the mind power and saying certain words and breathing a certain way will accomplish things quicker. I'm just saying, why not do them with the Divine Mother as your guide? Why not call on the Holy Spirit's power? Because your mind power still has limit. It just seems it's not limited. I'm affirming that it's unlimited, therefore it is unlimited. No, that's not true. Of myself, I am nothing. But in God, I'm all things. So it sounds like a stretch, but my human self is going to inevitably be able to bring the power of God all the way through to the dollars and cents. It's inevitable, but I can't do it from my human self. What'll happen is when I awaken enough to the abundance of God, the prosperity of my soul, comes the manifestation. When I get that, as soon as I really get that, I am, we are, the whole picture. You are, we are, we're all in this together. This is God as abundance, prosperity, and manifestation. I get it. There's no separation. And as soon as I get that, I am no longer three-dimensional. And that's what I meant by you can't be three-dimensional and get this. Because it isn't your third-dimensional self that gets it. See, it's the God self. That's why Jesus himself even used phrases like that. Of myself, I'm nothing. Meaning, if I become a self, lowercase s, if I become a self, an ego-based human being with my thinking, my emotions, my experiences, I'm really just in the same boat as everybody else. Of myself, I'm nothing. And you are nothing, no thing, no real thing when you're not in the God self, because only God is real. So I surrender all such thoughts, beliefs. I surrender all such distractions. Changing the subconscious is only changing the second chakra a bit. And there are people that are making millions of dollars selling people on, I can prove it. Now, muscle test, and it's right. See, so you cleared it. Now you don't have any issues. Or if it's about prosperity seminars, the same thing. You're a human using higher parts of yourself, not higher capital H, You're using just more ingenious faculties of your human self to make things happen. And I understand and I get it. That's a desperate thing to do. It's we're afraid we got to do something, but it has its limits. Just see it. There's these, a lot of these people that are out doing these talks at conferences, and I would be talking about God and they would talk about me, here's what, you can do this. I have done this. I invented this technique, this new technology. You can do it. You can. They're like, really, can I? They get inspired. They get excited. You can test the wavelength of the room. Wait. My group people in the room meter says the whole room has just raised from, 500 hertz to 3,000 hertz. It's like we're almost ascending. It's technology and it's still of your head. Where is your soul? Go to your soul and the meter will go completely to the right and you won't be able to measure it. The soul is immeasurable. The light of God is immeasurable. Why can't they talk about that? Why can't they say, and guys, I'm teaching you the highest that's knowable for now in terms of human intellect. There's something else that can't be measured, and it's God. I would love that kind of humility in people. I would love to hear them say that. There is something that's a little beyond. The problem is I'm a scientist or a life coach or whatever they're into doing, and I don't know that other thing yet. That would be kind of cool. Saying, I can only take you so high, but there's more. Please at least throw the hint that there's more so people can go, I love what we're doing here, and I'm also going to keep open to more. That's God. You can't do a recovery group without God. It doesn't make sense. The person that would try to do a 12-step group without God is the one that got themselves into this mess. So I'm calling on God that knows who I really am. But that sounds like a power outside. Well, that's a trick. Because when you call on God out there in the sky or wherever you believe God to be, I'm calling on the Almighty God of the universe, you're really calling on the part of you that remembers who you are. So that's the trick. It's not like I'm saying pray to some other being and you're just a loon. Your ego is loony. There's no doubt about that in my mind. How could it not be? It doesn't even exist and it's pretending to. And it's got you convinced. So we're all crazy. But there's something that isn't crazy, and it's the I am presence of God. And it's in me. But my lower technologies, hopes, beggings, manifestation techniques, and all that can't show me that if that isn't my intention, which is why I said earlier, how about using the law of attraction to attract God? Before you say, I'm trying to attract a new job or a house, how about get your priorities straight? Seek first the consciousness of God, and all the rest will follow. So sit quietly, call upon the Holy Spirit of God. When you feel a shift, it's called peace, which is an upper chakra feeling. Peace is not an emotional chakra thing. That's up here, peace. Then I know the little human self here has found something greater, which is the presence of God, even if it's just a moment of like, whoa, God, I'm feeling like light, or, wow, peace. You'll know you're plugged in now with God. Here's what I'm looking for in my life. You're co-creating. Do it from your head. You might be able to get things, but is that all you wanted? Using the head techniques, even of attraction laws, even of technologies as they're called, using those things. There's other alien species out here, guys, in this universe. There's other alien species. And so many of them are nothing but more technology. They figured out how to fly around in faster ships. And so all we're doing, if we're using these techniques, is figuring out how to get more stuff. We're so evolved, we don't even have to eat anymore. We just, breathe. That's beautiful. Are you in touch with God or not? Well, no, but then don't talk to me. But there are light beings. There's a difference between these little gray critters that go and pick on people. We need your genetics. We need, you have something we don't have. Yeah, believe in God. Let's start with that. So it messes with you, and it can't surgically remove that from you. And they can't figure that out. Something's not right here. And the vibe in the room when you have one of those critters versus a light being, there's a presence, Arcturians, Syrians, certain star systems, Some of you were like, I forget, some people don't know these things, but he had me until he mentioned Syrians. That's where I drew the line. Change channels, go to some other, But, it's true. Arcturians, Syrians, there's this presence. Basically, it's almost like angelic. The intentions are completely pure. They know the secret, which is love. It's divine presence. People that have channeled ascended masters, Kutumi, Saint Germain, El Moria, these masters say, we honor the master of masters, Jesus or Sananda. The humility is there. The awareness is there. They don't typically, El Moria is okay, but Kutumi, I'm really special. They don't get into these ego games. They know, like Yogananda said as well, the ultimate goal is Christ consciousness. And they respect Jesus for having pulled it off. But yet Jesus is saying, all that I've done, you will do and more. So I attained Christ consciousness, and so will you. My coming here is called the first coming of Christ. Yours is the second coming. It's not just like my return. When will the second coming be? Let's attract that. Well, the second coming is going to be Jesus coming here to celebrate that we've had our awakening. That's what it's about. It's not coming here just to fix us and make us Christy. Why didn't he just do that the first visit? Oh, he was a limited being. No, he could do anything. But he said, I'm showing you how it's done. Now it's up to you to get there. And you will much faster than in your old school evolutionary cycles of thousands of lifetimes. Practice love and forgiveness. And every time you practice it, you are awake for one moment. Do it again. Now you're awake for another moment. Pretty soon, all those moments are going to add up into an eternal moment of now. And you won't choose to sleep in between those awakenings. So we learn to get this abundant presence of God to pour into our hearts. And we just feel prosperous. So there's things we feel inclined to do, inspired to do, donate, tithe, because we know we can afford it. We just feel abundant. Smiles included. A listening ear. All that I can afford, let me bring to the world today. That's how you make a prosperous world. Not by printing more money. That's just an illusion, and it's coming back to bite people. Show presence, show prosperity consciousness. Here's a great story. Davy Crockett, who was in the Senate a couple terms. Syrians, Davy Crockett, wow, this guy's a trip. But how do you know Davy Crockett wasn't a Syrian? No. Anyway, he was elected a couple times in the Senate. Well, one time, the Senate was voting. There was a particular woman who appealed to the government. At the time, the government much smaller, and appealed to the government, said she's a widow or whatever, and needed money. And they were like voting, should we allocate some of the federal funds to this widow? Sounds totally beautiful, righteous, prosperous, loving. And Crockett said, listen, government, that money's not yours to be giving the way you think it's to be giving. This is the people's money. They would have to decide whether they should give it to this widow, which sounds like he's being lack consciousness. He said, you know what? He goes, if you guys want to help the widow, why don't we all give a week's pay? They voted it down. Of course they did, because he was coming from prosperity consciousness. We're going to give of ourselves, not the government's money that the taxpayers put into the coffers. We're going to spend it as we want. No, that's supposed to go towards specific things that people voted it should go towards. If we want to give the money, give yours. And he pushed their buttons. That's that secret of lack consciousness slips in under the radar. They might have even looked like they were voting so philanthropically. And he turned it and exposed them. No, you're not. It's easy for you to hand out monies to the widows that aren't yours. If you really want to show your generosity, give your money. And that just, blew their fuses. They had to get rid of him. Remember that story? He said, you can all go to hell. I'm going to Texas. That's what he said. That's in the federal archives. I think that's so cool. It's got my vote. You can use positive thinking, but try it on a flower. Go to a red rose and go, be a white rose. Now. You can't scare it, nor can you seduce. Come on, become yellow. You can't, by yelling at it, you can't use your head to change your reality as much as you think. Change the roots, and the color of the rose might change. Go to the roots of your issues. Well, where are those? If I knew where those were, I would, but I don't, so I'm just going to pretend that these other technologies are the answer. Because people don't want to know the roots. They're here. In God, I'm fine. Something went wrong here. The spirit of the plant is God. The roots are here. The manifestation, the flowers, the fruits of the plant are in my manifested life. So I have to get to the soul. And that comes through, which we'll cover a lot more in the workshop later, but that comes a lot more through you have to know your soul to know what needs healed. What are your erroneous beliefs? What are your false beliefs? Money doesn't grow on a tree. That's a good one to look at. There's only so much to go around. That's another one. All those sayings, they're mistaken. So some people go into higher sayings and they'll say, well, neurons that fire together, wire together. They're talking about hardwiring. The more you think about something, the more it becomes hardwired. So you have to learn to unplug that wiring. There's technologies that'll help you do it. Unplug that wiring. It'll rewire your subconscious. Then you can rewire that there is plenty and you can have it today. I still didn't say the word God. I'm concerned. Why not let God rewire you? Why not? The Holy Spirit knows every part of your consciousness. Instead, you're going to sit there 3,000 seminars later, 100 lifetimes later, still trying to track down your core issue. The Holy Spirit already knows. Why don't you ask me? She says. Oh, no, you're old school. God. We have new technologies, man. This is a real deal. And the same problems coming around and around. Same issues, same problems. So now you go, well, I manifested cash, but nobody likes me. Well, that doesn't matter. I got cash. And do you have a balanced life? Are you happy and prosperous? And do you have so much that you give? Again, at a conference, I was at a conference one time up in Canada, and the great soul that was inspired to have this event, it was really beautiful, but they're not always as easy as you think. There's a lot that goes into putting on these events. So finances were a little bit of a crunch. She was going to lose money. She's paying all of us brilliant spiritual teachers. Let's pretend it's an even number, like $1,000, let's say, to do an hour talk. Pretend. So we're each going to get our $1,000. Great. Now she's gone in the whole $20,000 for the conference that she put together. Okay? So people are talking about it. Some of the speakers, oh, did you hear? Yeah, I heard. Yeah. God, she's going to lose like $20,000. Oh, poor thing. And some of them are so spiritual, they'll, I'm going to just say a blessing. Sucks to be you. And that's their blessing. You know what I said? Why don't we all give back our fee? But that's my money. Oh, you're so prosperous. Look at you. You're so spiritual. See? It's like the Davy Crockett story. That's my thought system. Like, look, I still sold stuff. I still have a few hundred. I still have something. I'm okay. But God's going to take care of you because you took care of its children. Why should the woman go in debt to put on a conference for us to be brilliant when we're not very brilliant watching her go in the hole? That's not brilliant to me. She's one of us. She's our sister. She put together a conference. She gave up a part of her life to put us on a stage. Why should she sink? And that's this world's thought system. And somebody in there is going to, oh, well, maybe it's her karma. Everybody's got their not so brilliant statements. Keep talking about why and how. Why don't we just help? Just do the next right thing. Why is that foreign? Why is that not the next right thing? That's like the 50th option on the list. Let's first say, well, it's her karma. Well, she shouldn't have done. Well, she should have. And if she only, why use shaming her to excuse your fear of abundance? There's an interesting concept. Briefly, Jesus on the cross, it has all kinds of symbolism. But one of them, a lot of people don't know, which I've shared for many, many years. But one of them is, it was bringing back the statement, the concept in the Old Testament of Moses holding a serpent up on a stick. All the people were sick. There was a problem. Everybody's sick. And Moses, in his beautiful channeling, raises, as he was inspired to do, raises a serpent up on a stick. If the people would gaze on it, they would be healed. Okay? Jesus later says, I must be raised up on the cross. He was saying, once upon a time, the Israelites alone, just them, they received a healing by looking at the serpent up on a stick. And the serpent represents your fear. It's your primal stuff. So he holds up the serpent and they're all healed because they're willing to look and confront. They're willing to look at their fears, financial or otherwise. They're healed. Jesus says, yeah, that was nice. But now I'm going to go up on the stick, up on the cross, so you can all look at me and everyone can be healed. Not just a group, everyone. And there's a lot of brilliant symbolism to that. But most people don't know what he was saying is, if in the past he held the serpents were making the people bit and sick. So they had to look at their fears of what was biting them and they were healed. So when Jesus says, I'm going to get up there and heal you, he's saying, once upon a time, you had to face your fears of the serpent, which is not just the serpent that bit them and they're afraid of its venom. They're also afraid because the serpent's what made us fall, symbolically, made us fall and choose separation. Look at your fear of separation. Look at your fear of the judgment of God for having left God, and you will let it go. You'll forgive yourself and it'll all be at peace. So we look at Jesus and we're supposed to then understand, wow, this is my healing. I'm looking at someone who says, I'm replacing the serpent that made you separate. I'm the symbol of the Christ that you are that'll heal you from the separation. But I said, the Israelites looked at the symbol of their fear. What does it mean if Jesus, the Christ, goes up there? Your greatest fear is who you really are. To see who you really are. We turn away and we can't look at him and all. And, he's saying, it's all okay. Who you really are is the answer. Get who you really are. The key to prosperity, abundance, and so on, it's not about the magical solution, potion, drink, herb, muscle test. Those are helpful to kind of help us sustain while we're here. But the answer is the core, the key home is the awakening of Christ consciousness. That's our source of abundance. We think Jesus taught us poverty is the way to go because the church said, we're representing Jesus and you should not have money. But they had no problem asking you to give it to them. But you shouldn't have it. We didn't say we shouldn't have it. We said you shouldn't have it. In fact, we're so sacrificial, so loving. I guess we'll take that burden on. Give us your money so you don't go to hell. Wow. Score. That was brilliant advertisement, man. Anyway, in closing, when we try to use the techniques to change the subconscious mind, what you're trying to change occurred in the past. When we try to live our lives I'm going to try a little better to live this way, that you're reacting to your wounds from the past. If you're trying to not be like your father, if you're trying to heal from your mother, you're still focused on something that happened in the past, which means even your new technique and technology is rooted in the past. Only God is now. If you don't bring God in, you're not bringing the present moment in, which is ultimately the moment you heal. Course in Miracles calls it the holy instant. It's in the now that I'm healed. It's like saying, it's in the moment where I no longer have my own opinions of myself. That all came from the past. I had all my fears of what I might be in the future, and I had all my opinions of what I was in the past. But I'm really working the past. Don't work the past by going back to it. Bring it to the moment. Then you're healing with God, and you have great allies in that moment. It cannot be just the technologies. Those are just support systems. Making sense? Prosperity. I am as God created me. Emerson, Thoreau, Jesus, Moses, all these characters from the past, Solomon, they tell us God wills for your abundance. Someone told us that represented God, no, God frowns upon money. And then they bring one little statement, Jesus makes towards a wealthy man. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a wealthy man to give it to. Oh my God, that's bad. And money is the root of all evil. Those are misunderstood, misstatements. I'm not going to diss them completely. But really, people want money. The people that are the greediest actually think that money gives them power. You could say just as easily, power is the root of all evil. But what is power? But compensatory. Thinking that you're separate from God makes you want to compensate and have power over yourself and others. And money seems to do it. Seems to. So really, it's our insecurity that makes us go after money. So is it really money that's the root of all evil? It's just our thinking that is the root of all evil. It's our doubts and our low self-worth. If I know who I am, everything's cured. We are abundant. Practice it. And in one respect, giving and sharing. One thing is going to happen in the world in the not too distant future. The economy is going to go so wonky that even the wealthiest people are going to be in need. Not because they don't have wealth. It's just that it's a funny thing that when earth changes come, it ruins mansions as well as tents. When earth changes come, and they are going to come. When the earth changes come, and the earth, the mother, she's like, you people. And we're doing our thing, and we're kind of contriving, and we're trying to control the weather, and all this stuff. And then there's people that are hating the technology people, going, look what you're doing to the earth. But you're hating them, so ego's got you hooked too. Everybody's insane. We're insane because we're trying to control everything in the world, and you hate us, so you're insane. So where's the sanity? Right here. The mother. Beloveds, let me be a good example. People can do as they may. They have no real effect. And even when it seems like they do, they'll push and push and push. Watch, honey, she says, the mother. Ka-choo! And that's, tectonic plates and, pole shifts and, and we're like, oh, why God? God's like, don't talk to me now. Don't be coming to me now. You had plenty of time. Oh, Lord, why? And the earth and it's just, she's going to clear it in her way. And that's what we have to do in our lives too. Clear lack thinking. She doesn't believe in it. I know it's tragic when we see a tree cut down and an animal killed. The mother doesn't actually, oh, how could you? The mother goes, I'm sorry that you're so insane. I'm sorry that you're so afraid that you kill everything, cut down the trees. She loves you and is sorry that you behave that way. You know what she does? She never hates for it. She takes the energy in the deer you shot and she puts it back into the system and it recycles as 5 trees, 1 other deer, or whatever she wants it to be. And she's telling us to do the same thing. Recycle the garbage from your old relationship. Don't let it keep you stuck and broken in lack. Just let it recycle. What did you learn from your ex? Well, they're just a jerk. That's it? That's all you got out of it? What did you learn? What did you gain? I need to put more value in myself. Bravo! Bravo, she says. Right on. Now we can recycle what you went through that's compost, in all kinds of different words for it. There's compost. And now we're going to turn this into a new life. Free from this. If you're still bound, your anchor stuck in that stuff, she can't let you loose into a new life. So bound by our own stuff. Prosperity is our destiny. Abundance in every form. In every form. You're allowed to have a car that works. Oh, I don't know why, but I only drive on bald tires. Accident waiting to happen. right? Accident waiting to happen. Help those with bald tires. Help people how you can, where you can. Years ago, I was driving, in the freeway, and I saw a couple of people that looked, very kind of earthy and, so forth, but they were broken down. The tire was flat. And I thought, well, I can at least offer this, the help to, I don't know how to jack up a car. I don't know how to, this is me we're talking about. And I'm like, I pull over and I thought just to offer some suggestions. What could I offer? Well, you guys okay? Yeah. Why don't you get the spare? We don't have one. We can't afford it. This guy and girl, probably in their 20s, can't afford it. And I'm like, see, I won't accept that. What do you mean you can't afford it? I didn't have a lot of money either, but I'm not going to have them not have a tire. So it's like, okay, I'll go get you one. I drove to the store and got whatever it was at the time, $40 for a tire. Got a tire and, help them. I had to act like I knew what I'm doing, like in lug nuts. Okay. So, play along, help out how I can. But in so doing, I learned kind of, how to do that. All the world, all the human beings on this planet throughout time, and including right now, I swear to you, the same question we all have every second: who am I? When you don't help each other, you're saying you are worthless. When you say let me help, you're saying you have value. Why else would I help? Everyone has value. Our job while here is to remind them of that. Don't worry about you. When you are in service at such a capacity, you're also gaining it for yourself, because the more you give, the more you receive. You will more and more remember who you are by showing others who they are. I'm not talking about being a rescuer without taking care of yourself, because you simultaneously are taking care of yourself. What is the greater good? What brings the most peace, love, and joy to everybody involved? Go with that decision. Go with the answer to that question. Remind people their value. How can I be truly helpful today? Give. Just do your best to keep. That's prosperity. This isn't a talk or a workshop this afternoon. How to multiply your funds. That's not abundance. That's not prosperity. That's just more getting. Well, what if we, color it a certain way, use special wording? It's still down here. If you don't call God in, God is not there. It's always there on some level, but hidden to you. So it doesn't help. Why not have the humility to say, of myself, I'm nothing, but the I am presence of God, the Holy Spirit, my mother, the mother aspect of God is my guide. Show me what you'd have me do today. And she says, if you're made in our image, you are. Peace, health, abundance, embodied. Now start acting like it. Smile more. People deserve a smile. People deserve kindness, right? They deserve it. We had to buy some supplies yesterday for the store because they were running out. I went to a local store. I won't say which one, but we had to go to a store and get some things. We ran over there, a couple of us, and got some things. When we were done, we were about to leave, and I said, can I talk to you real quick? There's these three ladies that run this business. And I said, can I say something real quick? She said, sure. I said, you guys are probably the nicest people in any store I've ever been to in all of Sedona. And there was just this gratefulness, like, wow. And I said, seriously, people, they have their ups and downs. And I said, but you're doing something wonderful for people. You love what you're doing. It's very evident. See, telling people, you just assume people might know. Say it. Spread kindness. Bring love. Bring light. Words bring abundance. We had a big festival yesterday, Psych of Fear. Wonderful event. Very cool. Lots of colors. Man, I found myself smiling. I was like, wow. I mean, I was just excited. The colors and the vibes of everybody, I could just feel it in me going, I love love. This is so cool. So I'm walking around just kind of cool. And I said, but let me go look at a craft booth over there. Let me go and sit at that psychics table over there. Why? Because when people see them talking to customers, more want to go there. So by going and bringing more yourself, you bring more of everything else. Honestly, even if you don't need an herbal tea, buy it and ask Spirit to guide you which one for you. Or you find you run into somebody an hour later that's got an issue that works on. You know what? That's so weird. I just bought this. It's yours. That's magical living. That's magical consciousness. Plugging into just being a miracle worker. Please take a few centering breaths. Just decompress the body. Relax it. It's not commanding here. It's not in control here. My will, my choice, free will in my heart and soul. That's what I'm here for. Release. There's nothing else that matters. Just breathe out the old. Let come to mind, just briefly, just in the last week, any demonstrations of lack, fear, limitation, decisions you made, thoughts you had, any signs that might have slipped by you. Some of them may have been obvious, some not. Just be honest, just sit with it and say, wow, let's see. Did I say words like, I can't afford that? Did I do something? Somebody was in need and I turned away from them, which sometimes is the guided thing to do. But just watch. I would like to be healthier, but the doctor said I can't really cure this. That's a lack thought. I had these thoughts and opinions, Father, Mother, God, and I was mistaken. There is no limit. Wherever I might have manufactured such, I was mistaken. That was called being faithless. Not a punishable offense. It's a sad one. I lacked faith in God and myself, my real self. And I give that up to you, God. I give up my belief systems in lack and limitation. Now, even if it's hypothetical, let's imagine the heavens opening, clouds parting, and the light of God comes beaming down through our crown, gently illuminating us, shining, brilliant light, golden sparkles. She says, you gave me your worries, concerns, errors, and now I'm giving you divine presence. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. And just for a moment, because sometimes we have a hard time with these things, make believe that this is real, because it is. Make believe that right in this moment, you are fully filled with the presence of God, abundant presence of God. Imagine there's no organ gland system in your body that's not radiant to your skin, out through your aura, and further. Radiant being, radiant, filled with light. And And then go back to the incidents that took place where you felt or experienced lack and see how you might have done differently. It's not always going to be that you would have given. Sometimes inspiration will say, no, it's not right in this moment. But just take a moment to see how the past events would have been different if you were plugged into spirit. What would you have said differently, done differently? Just see yourself moving through life even today. How can you be the manifestation of God? Your donations today, your grocery store runs, how will you be different? Give a smile. Give your heart, shine, let it shine. You're sharing it. You're not giving it away. You're sharing your abundance. I can really do this. I make a difference. And feel the gratitude from everyone whose lives you touch. Beautiful. Their gratitude. And every bit of that gratitude will stick, as it were, in your soul and become the good karma, the light in you that takes you to higher levels of consciousness. And so it is. Take a moment just to kind of stretch out. Tune into what you heard, what made sense. Anything that didn't, you just let it go. But whatever might have made sense, whatever clicks, yes, the yes factor, let that become for permanent change in consciousness. We're going to just simply take the collection and then we'll do our closing prayer. All right, thank you. We're going to take up the collection. If you just please be as generous as you can be, we'd appreciate it. Hold your love offering to your heart. So we're setting that higher intention. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. While they're passing those out, can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense? Something I shared, something you can share with others, whatever it happens to be. Just briefly. Yes. Shh. Nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Really, that's good to hear. I appreciate that. So you loved what was shared today overall, but you also see how that applies in your life. You, your partner, how there's much you can bring to the world. And you see the difference, right? And what form it takes varies. But the fact that it can happen, that's what we most need to know. To know that it can happen and to do it. The folks that talk about technologies, and bless them, because they are giving you the highest that the mind, the intellect can give you, or they're introducing you to the highest. That's pretty cool. Just know what it is. It doesn't heal the soul because they don't know the soul yet. Please, you teachers that are out there doing this, it's okay. Just vulnerable, man. I thought I was ingenious, and you are at that level. Just say, God, I want more. I want you. I'm ready to be a servant of you and not just of myself. That's all. The technologies that people are used to living, the limiting consciousness. It sounds abundant because it's kind of sexy, fancy. It gets you stuff, but it doesn't cure the soul and bring you back to spirit, which is who we really are. I remember in conferences, they're almost done with the collection. We'll do our closing prayer. I remember a couple times at conferences, there was so much emphasis on the techniques that I decided I wanted to do a demonstration on the stage like others. You know, they're doing demonstrations on how your head can fix you. Okay, fine. So take a test. I say, okay, give me a candy bar and soda. Whatever soda, you know, candy, whatever drink, Coke, Pepsi, or whatever. You know, now, technically, you drink it, eat that. Technically, that's acidic. The drink and the junk food, the sweets, are acidic. Okay? It's very simple. If you put litmus paper in Coca-Cola, it's going to test acidic. Alkaline is a different vibe. Acidic is like acid. You know, it destroys. So acidity in your system is destructive, life destroying. So it's bioacidic, and that's life destroying. Biogenic means life generating, and that's alkaline, which is why underneath so many diets, they don't say this, but an alkalized diet is the healthiest diet. But it isn't just the food, it's your attitudes. You need an alkaline diet of attitude, which is called love. So if you're loving, you can neutralize some acids in your system. You can eat alkalized, but be a jerk, and it's all turning to acid anyway. You got to be loving. So we do this test, Coca-Cola and candy bar, and then have them test. It's like purple. It's supposed to be yellow or red. You know, they're going, how can litmus paper, and I'm saying, because that's a technology you know not of. I mean, I didn't make it blatantly humiliating all these people that taught this other stuff, but my point, see, talk it, but it isn't just the chemistry, it isn't just the neurology, it isn't the science. That's something to a level. There's something else. Be loving. And it will neutralize acidic people, acidic attitudes, whatever else it seems acidic, stressful in your life, foods. Be nice. Be loving. It'll carry you more than the right diet. That said, please stand for our closing prayer. How did you folks do with today overall? Good? Good. Right on. Thank you. And thank you for watching online. God bless you all. I really appreciate the space we co-create to do this kind of work. It's what it's all about. Gratitude. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Thank you very much. Peace be with you all.